Welcome back, Steeler Nation, to another positive episode.
Let's go.
With optimism and passion and positivity. Right, Chris?
And perfection and phlebotomy and
Hell yeah.
pacifists.
Hell
and
yeah.
Yeah, I'm spitting.
This is episode 73 of the Northern Steel Podcast. I'm your host, Dominic. This is my brother, Chris. Chris, name me a legendary 73 right now. Off the top of your head, go.
Isaac Sayamalu, legendary.
The legendary Isaac Sayamalu. Welcome back to the episode. This will be potentially our last episode for a while, unless something crazy happens. I'm looking at you, June 1st deadline for potential trades. Yes, I'm still holding out for a good trade. Yes, I am delusional, but that's what we are, Steeler fans, baby. Delusion is in our nature. We are going to be talking about, of course, the schedule release. It'll be a quick episode. We're going to go through the games, talk about it. If you have seen the schedule release, and if you've been online, you've seen the reactions, people are, oh no, woe is us, the Steelers. We got the raw end of the deal. Who made this schedule? Nick Carnes? I can't believe it. This is the worst schedule I've ever seen. And I'm here to tell you that it might not be that bad, but it is going to be hard. And we knew that going into it. What do you think of it, Chris, before we get started?
Okay, I do have to admit, I know you're kind of like trolling right now, but like we got some tough ones that we're gonna be getting into. But like, golly, if there's any time to bring a championship to the city of Pittsburgh, how awesome would it be for this year it to be?
Well, I'm trolling, but also not trolling, because I do genuinely believe that it's not as bad as what I make it. Now, I don't know if I want to say this for before and after, but hey, maybe I'll just say it twice so you people listening can really get it in your brains. I'm thinking about this. This is football. If you want to win a championship, you need to beat the good teams. If you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. That is common knowledge. I don't know why everyone wants us to play high school teams on our way to a Super Bowl victory. That's not how it's going to work. So we have a hard schedule. There's tough opponents. There's a really tough stretch of games at the end. If you want to win a Super Bowl and potentially win playoff games, you have to beat these teams. Right, Chris?
Absolutely, you do. I mean, if we're just picking wins off of the easy teams, then it's like we're going to get crushed in the playoffs, which I'm quite frankly tired of that happening. So
it's been happening a lot.
We got to make a point. We got to win these games, and we got to show that we're competitive.
Put up or shut up.
But
no more crying.
Dude, if we're looking at like strength of schedule, and I know we're going to get into it here, the nitty gritty, but like, you know what team won the Super Bowl with the hardest NFL schedule back in 2008?
Steelers, baby.
The Steelers, man. Let's repeat history.
Now, our strength of schedule, this will be used against Steeler fans. Our strength of schedule is number 3, third hardest, based on teams' winning percentage last year, and the Browns is ranked number 1. But I would say that ours is a harder schedule based on when we play opponents, when and where, and you know, that it makes that harder, I think, than anyone's schedule in the NFL right now. I mean, we don't play, spoiler alert, don't play any division rivals until week 11. But hey, you know what? Let's go into it. And you know what? We're going to take this from an optimistic standpoint, you guys. Not realistic, because it's hard to... What is realistic with the Steelers? Who knows? Let me tell you guys something. There are potentially 11 new starters on this team. There are 5 new starters on offense, 5.5 if you want to count Broderick Jones in his second year at O-line at right tackle, or even if he moves to left tackle, because he didn't really play there last year.
Yeah. So
like 5.5 new starters on the offense, and there's potentially 4 new starters on defense with Dante Jackson, with Deshaun Elliott, with potentially Peyton Wilson if Cole Holcomb can't come back. And is there another one on there, I think? I think so.
I wasn't even...
Regardless.
Yeah, but honestly, I was just going to...
Slot cornerback's going to be new as well. So...
Yeah. I was just going to interrupt you real quick, just because I'm looking at this schedule right now. And apparently on ESPN, they also have the lowest ticket prices it costs to go to these games. Dom, we could go to both preseason games for less than $40. I mean, that's together.
Yeah,
Which is
that's
amazing.
fine. We do not live in Pittsburgh, but sure, we could go.
No, we don't. But like, we could. And there's a couple games here that are like $73
Hey, I would
in the
I would love
season.
to go to training camp and all that stuff, but we are not cool enough yet
Oh
or
my
rich enough.
God. Dream.
Um, but
Dream, dream, dream,
there's
dream, dream, dream.
there's about 11 new starters on this Steelers team, and it's going to take a while to get things rolling. So we'll kind of talk about this as we go. But why don't we get started, Chris? Why don't you give me the Week 1 matchup, and we'll kind of talk through it a little quicker than we did today on the phone.
Sure. Week 1 coming in on Sunday, September 8th at Atlanta Falcons playing a 12 p.m. game. Dom, what are your thoughts on this one?
In Atlanta, revenge game. Arthur Smith, first time as OC. Week 1 is a weird time. We don't know what to expect, right? We don't know how the teams play. Atlanta's kind of new with the things that they're doing. They got a new head coach. We're really new. Like I said, 11 new starters. People have talked about Atlanta's defense being not very good. Their front seven is pretty horrendous. Their secondary is probably the only saving grace to that defense. And people have said, well, we're going to score 30 points in this team. I mean, if we do, great, man. I'm going to be even more excited. But I don't think so. I think it's going to take time for us to find our identity, to find our groove, to find out how our offense works, to get our quarterback chemistry with our receivers. And this screams Arthur Smith game. This screams running attack. This screams running the ball through that terrible front seven. This screams attacking the middle of the field with the two tight ends we have. Sure, Kirk Cousins is good, and they got more weapons. And they know how to use them finally. But can Kirk Cousins play good coming after Achilles injury at 37? I don't know. Who's to say?
No.
Sure. I say, if you're looking at it optimistically, it's a win, but it's a game where you're ground and pound, control the ball, figure out your offense as you're going. But I will say win right now.
Look, I think I agree with everything that you're saying. It is totally going to be a Arthur Smith revenge game. And what does Arthur Smith like to do? He likes to get the ball rolling. And there's no better time to run the ball, run Najee, run Jalen Warren than against Atlanta's front seven, who we talked about earlier today, but are a bunch of nobodies and Walmart employees. Bookmark this. They're probably going to stop us dead in our tracks now that I said that. But it's beside the point. It's our time at the beginning of the season to gel. And honestly, like, I know we're going to get into the nitty gritty here at the end of the season. We're going to have a lot of tough road games, but looking at the beginning of this year, I would much rather, knowing all the new incomers coming into this offense, this defense, trying to gel and create some chemistry on this team. This is kind of an ideal front start of the schedule to kind of get some confidence, to, gel, to figure out some plays, see what works, see what doesn't work. This is the time. This game against Atlanta, I think, should be a good one. In my opinion, it's either going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be a complete blowout because that's how the NFL is going to script it. They're going to be like, Arthur Smith is a way better offensive coordinator than a coach. And let's prove it right here. Pittsburgh scores 56. That would be awesome. I would love it.
No.
It's not going to happen. Or the more realistic is we're probably going to win by like 10. But
it's
either way, I see a win coming out of this week 1 matchup at Atlanta.
Yeah, week ones are weird, but I have a child. Yeah, I do have a child yelling for me right now.
I could keep going if you would like.
Yeah, Chris, why don't you hit the next game while I check to see what's going on and give the people their predictions here.
I'll give them the lowdown. I'll give them the keys to the game. All right, so moving in, we are now sitting at 1-0 going into week number 2. And again, we are going back-to-back road games to start off the season. And this is something that we did not see much of last year. It looks like we have a few more of these on the schedule, but we have a mid-afternoon game, 3:25 p.m. game at Denver. Now, historically, we do not play well in Denver. I'm pretty sure the last game that we played in Denver was the Xavier Grimble fumble into the end zone when he should have scored that easy. And then the last second Ben pick in the end zone, which was just so tough and such a hard pill to swallow, especially when that whole game I felt like we dominated. Juju had his 97-yard touchdown. It was a fun game to watch, but times are different. Teams are looking different. So let's dive into it. So obviously we're going up against Denver's team, and there's a lot of unknowns there, and possibly a lot of June 1st unknowns. I know Cortland Sutton is not happy with the situation. He might be off the team. He might be on our team, which would be insane, and I would love it. But he might not be there. They have Marvin Mims over there. They have I can't remember who else is over there. Oh, they have Troy Franklin, a top rookie prospect that I was really interested in. But the big thing to note here is we are going up against Bo Nix, the rookie quarterback out of Oregon. So here's the thing. Obviously, we do not play well against Denver in Denver, but we historically, especially Tomlin, has played well against rookie quarterbacks, excluding last year against CJ Stroud, but he's kind of an outlier. CJ Stroud was basically God, and I feel like he's only going to get better and more powerful. So all in all, I really don't know how nervous I am about this game. I think when you look at our defensive front seven to their offensive line, we have a lot of good stacked up pieces. I think that's a good game for TJ to get in there, for Alex Highsmith to get in there. And honestly, this might be the best game for our offense to get going because, heck, you know what it is? It's back-to-back revenge games. First, we had Arthur Smith revenge game against the Falcons. Now we have a Russell Wilson revenge game against the Denver Broncos. And we got to remember, they're paying this dude $39 million this year to basically kick their ass. So, I mean, let's put that into perspective here a little bit. But I think Denver is going to unfortunately lose this game. For them, it's an unfortunate thing. For us, it's very fortunate. I think we're going to come out on top of this game. And wouldn't you know it, Dom is back. Dom, what do you think of this matchup?
Well said, Chris. I was listening to you as I was attending to my sleepy yet cranky child. Cranky because he knows that the Broncos are going to lose.
And he likes horses.
Yeah, and he just wants everyone to win. He's very Gen A of him. I'm just kidding. We're not going to talk about politics. Like you said, a rookie quarterback, the revenge game, all the factors are there. The best defensive player on the Broncos is Pat Surtain. So, yeah, another run game, another Arthur Smith game plan, figure out the identity, but I'll win nonetheless. We're on the next one.
This is our first home game, and it's also might be the first real, all games are a challenge in the NFL, but probably the first quarterback challenge that we're going to be facing, assuming Kirk Cousins is not 100%, but it's week 3 at home against the Chargers. Now, the Chargers, obviously led by Justin Herbert, went through a few changes in the offseason with a new coach, new defensive coordinator, and a slug of new players. Dom, what do you think about this game?
Quick thoughts, real quick. Good words, good sentence, Dom. My quick thoughts are: this is gonna be a tough game, tough home opener. You need to win these games based on the back half of the schedule, though. You need to win this game. Justin Herbert will be the best quarterback. It's a good test to try to see if your defense can handle an elite quarterback. Usually we get blown out by elite quarterbacks in the NFL. We have been recently. They don't have a lot of good receiving options. They have about 12 receivers. Will Quentin Johnson be better? Will Len McConkey step up? Will Brendan Rice be the next Jerry Rice like his dad? Tough to say, but they have the options there. They have the Ravens running backs with Jim, because Jim Harbaugh is the coach, and he said, John, give me those players you have. I love them so much. I'm going to use them. And they have Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins as running backs. We've seen them plenty of times, but they can run well in the Steelers. Jim Harbaugh likes to run, even though he's got a good quarterback. I mean, and their defense has a bunch of like really talented players on there too, even though they've underperformed in years past. However, they have a new defensive coordinator with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack and Derwin James and Asante Samuel Jr., just to name a couple. So this is going to be a tough matchup. This is going to be, as we're still trying to figure out the offense, this might be still controlling the clock with the run game, but also you need to figure out how to pass the ball here, and you need to score some points. Optimistically, with our first home game of the year, I'm going to say win because of what the season has entailed for them.
I agree. And I was just going to comment and say it is so funny how you and I are very much like, we're not going to be as thorough with this because we want it to be quicker, but yet it's hard. It's hard not to go into detail on some of these games and discuss our truest thoughts.
Well, it's a little faster than me reading the depth chart of every single team.
Yeah, a little bit. But no, I completely agree with Dom. I think it's going to be a real challenge against a star-studded quarterback and a pretty solid defense. We got to figure out something to get going against them. But I feel like first home game, you got to come out strong. You got to show the city of Pittsburgh that we mean business. We mean business. So I'm going Steelers dub going into week 4.
Which is at the Indianapolis Colts.
Right.
The Colts they made a lot of improvements. They're a stronger team. This is a really well-balanced team in the same way that we are. It kind of all depends on Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Depends on Anthony Richardson. It depends on the quarterback, just like ours does. If the quarterback can play well, this would be a tough team to beat. This game could go either way. I think it's going to be close. They could lose this game. I think you have to kind of account for a win here. They need to win these games at the beginning. That's what me and Chris keep talking about. But with Richardson and Jonathan Taylor and their 3 receiver set of Pittman and Josh Downs and Adonai Mitchell, I mean, it's just studs. They got a really solid line. They got a really solid defensive core. It's going to be a close game.
With that, what's your prediction for this game?
I think it really could go either way, I think. And obviously these predictions, you guys, are going to change as the season goes along. Last year, I had really high hopes for the Steelers and Kenny Pickett. And then the first game came out against the Niners, and I didn't expect them to get blown out like that. And my whole outlook could change, But I am going to say win right now because they just need to, just by knowing what's coming up. They kind of need to win these games. Unless you want to put more pressure on them to win at the end. But I think you need to win now. If you want to say you're a good team to win in the playoffs, you need to win these games. Plain and simple.
I totally agree. However, I feel like there's obviously bumps and bruises that go along with the schedule. And I'm gonna try to give here's what I think the Steelers are going to end with. Not necessarily the games that might not match up wins and losses the way that I'm saying right now, but I'll give the Steelers our first loss of the year.
I think, again,
which is very possible.
This is a realistic outlook you're having. I'm not doing that right now. I'm going very optimistic, assuming that the Steelers are firing on all levels with a new quarterback. But that is a very realistic outcome. They could very well lose that game.
I think if we start the season 3-0 and like have a nice game against the Chargers, who could potentially be a playoff team, that's good for me as long as we're competitive. I think it'll be a close game in Indy, but I think because it's at Indianapolis, we'll just maybe fall a little short in that
one. What's the next one?
Dallas. It's at home against Dallas Sunday night.
This is a tough one. This is kind of we have 2 Sunday Night Football games against some teams that we potentially could lose to, depending on how they do. Dallas, the NFC is a weaker conference. We all know that, but Dallas is one of the premier teams in that conference, regardless if that means they're good or bad. But they were really good last year. I kind of expect them to keep up with that. They didn't really do anything in free agency. I don't think they did anything in free agency besides getting Ezekiel Elliott back. They didn't do. Their draft was whatever as well. I still think this could potentially be one of our first losses. This is gonna be a tough game.
See, and I feel like historically we've matched up fairly well against Dallas, and they're just coming off of such a strong year. I could definitely see it be a loss.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris. When's the last time the Steelers played the Dallas in Pittsburgh, especially Dak Prescott?
Oh, that was like his rookie year when we had that pump fake to AB, and then Ezekiel Elliott ruined my life.
Yeah, the fake spike. Yeah. They Ezekiel absolutely just pooped on us. Now, we do usually win primetime games, so it's hard to pick against them, especially at home. It's hard for me to pick against the Steelers, but I can't pick them to win every game. So this is one of those that could be a loss because the Cowboys are supposed to be a good team. But maybe they'll suck.
I'm also going to choose a loss. I think there's too many times where we start off hot and we start getting a little egotistical. And I think back-to-back losses when starting 3-0 might kind of be the case. But that's all I'll go with right now. So probably a loss there at Dallas. Hopefully then a close one. But that's when we got to start picking ourselves back up a little bit.
Week 6 is at Raiders, right?
Correct.
Look,
mid-afternoon game.
Here's all I'm going to say. We don't play well at the Raiders, but that was a Big Ben problem and not a current problem, in my opinion.
That was also an Oakland problem.
Correct. There's also an Oakland problem. I'm just plain and simple to just for the sake of time. I think they win this game. I'm not afraid of Aiden O'Connell. I'm not afraid of Aiden O'Connell yet. I'm not really afraid of any of the weapons they have. No, defense is really tough with Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins. This would be the main game. One of the main games where passing is going to take a huge front seat. And this is kind of maybe where they figure it out and put it all together.
Absolutely agree. I'm going to go with a win in this column and not going to touch on it more because I feel like you got it. Next one is another Sunday night matchup against the New York Jets in Pittsburgh. So back to another primetime game in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and it's a tough game, I think. But I can't pick them to lose twice on primetime Sunday night. I just won't do it. They very well could. I just won't do it. We have no idea. We have no idea how Aaron Rodgers is going to play. We have no idea if he'll make it past week 1 again on Monday night with his ankle. We have no idea how good he's going to be at 62 or however old he is. The Jets defense is very, very good, so it could still be a close game regardless. But hard to really map that out. I am going to give it to the Steelers, though.
I am not scared of the Jets. I'm going to give it to us. I think it'll be a good game. Aaron Rodgers could play his heart out, but you know what, baby? We're going out and swinging strong. Pittsburgh Steelers with the win in another primetime game. And you know what? We hit 2 primetime games in the last 3 weeks. Why we might as well hit another one. The following week, Monday night game against the Giants again in Pittsburgh. So that's 3 primetime games in Pittsburgh.
Jeez.
And against the Giants, we're going to win.
That's a dub. Last time we played the Giants was on Monday Night Football. Remember that? 2020. In New York, week 1.
Yeah, that's right. Cam Hayward had a pick.
Yeah, Clamps Hayward. If he's going to be in our team or not, we'll find out. I'm just kidding. I'm sure he will. Dub, win. Daniel Jones, sorry to say, he sucks. They have they got Malik Neighbors, but they have no other weapons besides him. I don't know. They have nobody really on defense. It's at home. It's in Pittsburgh. Monday Night Football. An extra day of rest. We got it.
Totally agree. Then the following week, we got a mid-season bye.
Lose.
Which will be nice. Yep, probably. But then we are waking up and we're heading over to Washington. We are facing the Commanders. And again, I'm just another team. I feel like other than the Cowboys and Eagles, I'm not really too scared of this division. I know it's half the division, I literally said, but the Commanders are not really that scary. They're still trying to figure out their quarterback situation. I know they got Jane Daniels. We have no idea if he's going to be good or not. I think he should be because he was 2nd overall pick. But again, rookie quarterback, we fare pretty well against them. I'm saying we're going to Washington. We're pulling out a win there.
This has got Mike Tomlin trap game written all over it. Classic game to lose, classic game to drop. The thing is, with this way the schedule is and the playoffs we play, we just can't. So I'm thinking about it optimistically. You just cannot drop these games. You really cannot do it.
No.
And I gotta say win as well. Jin and Dan. I mean, the Commanders have some really good weapons on offense. They did a lot of free agency stuff on defense too. I still think they win this game. And they have to. I'm not saying they win commandingly. Good pun, Dom. Thank you very much. But I do think they have to get the dub here. And now this leads us into the back half of the season. We're going into week 11. I think optimistically, I've picked one loss, and you have two.
Correct.
Which is still optimistic, even with the Colts loss. So you have 7-2. I'm 8-1.
And you know what? With this next game going into Pittsburgh, playing our first divisional game against the Baltimore Ravens, I think we do so well. I mean, year in, year out, they're such a good team, and I think we should lose these games, but we don't. And I'm sticking with it. I mean, I think it's in Pittsburgh. We're going to beat the Baltimore Ravens. You know, if anything, I don't think we really get swept. If anything, we split a series, but we've kind of had their number the last 4 years. So
yeah, I think we win at home as well. So I'll take a win here too. Be optimistic.
And then we get 4 days in between the next one where we travel to Cleveland to play the Browns. Also did not realize we have 4 games in a row of all divisional rivals.
Yes. Yeah.
Thursday night game, primetime game against the Browns. Browns is the Browns. I can't pick us to lose against them. I just can't. Nor do I think we will lose against them, just because I think we are the better team, even though they might have a studly defense. I'm just not scared of Deshaun Watson. You know?
Here's the thing. And I want to be wrong because I hate... I want to get this... I want to make this so clear. I'm going to get really close to the mic. I hate the Browns and their fans, but mostly their fans. I hate you, Cleveland. I really, really do. And you've made me root against your other teams. The Guardians, they're in the Twins division. We're Twins fans here in Minnesota. Hate you too. The Cavaliers, hate. So the Browns, loathe entirely. I want them to sweep them, but for the sake of a optimistic schedule, I'm picking a 3-3 divisional record. Spoiler alert for you. And I'm just going to pick us to win at home, the home games. So because we're coming off Baltimore, 3 days of rest, and that's usually a tough game against Baltimore, I'm going to pick us to, unfortunately, lose against the Browns. Sure. But I don't want to win. I want to sweep them. I hate them. I don't want them to give any satisfaction, but I will pick us to lose.
And that's a fair assessment. They're a good team, but we will have to see how things go. We're heading into December though, Dom, and you know what December football is. It's our time to rise.
Sometimes
when boys become men.
Last year we dropped 3 December games in a row and 2 of them against 2-win teams. But yeah, I agree.
It was cold. But we are going to Cincinnati for our 3rd straight divisional game. Assuming Joe Burrow is healthy and he stays fit and cold, cool, icy Joe, I'm going to pick us to lose this game. But Cincinnati's been lacking with quarterback play just because of injuries. If they can keep Joe healthy, then
yeah,
he's going to be good.
Because I already told you I'm picking us to go 3-3 in the division, and I'm going to pick us to mostly lose the away games. I'm going to pick us to lose this one too, so it's back-to-back losses, even though we do have 10 days of rest. And the thing with the Bengals, kind of like every year, we just don't know how good or bad they're going to be. And I don't know, Chris, if you've seen the news about Joe Burrow's shoulder and how it's like potentially permanently damaged.
Yep.
From his injury, and it's something that could really, unfortunately, derail his career. I'm not going to shit on him like I do Cleveland. It could unfortunately like really, hamper how talented he is.
Yeah.
So we're just going to see how that goes because this is week 13 in the NFL season. We'll have to see if he's still playing. But I will say loss for now as well.
Sure.
So I'm at
next
3
game.
losses total.
No, I'm at
3 as well.
4?
No, you're at 3.
Okay.
Yep.
Next game against Cleveland in Pittsburgh. I'm going to win. We're going to sweep the Browns.
Yeah, I gotta go win, especially since I went back to back on losses. We're angry, we're mad. Gotta get some divisional wins back. Get the win.
Moving on, we're playing Philadelphia. Historically, we are at booty in Philadelphia.
This is
kind of had our numbers.
This is one of our toughest stretches. This is, and again, you guys, this is football. So cards were dealt. You might say this is not fair, but this is the way it goes, and you got to play a game. This is, I mean, yeah, you can be mad at the NFL all you want. They're hypocritical on player safety. They actually don't care about player safety. They care about money. But we are playing 3 games in 10 days, just like we did in COVID. But this time it's scheduled. It's the first of those games in 10 days. And like Chris said, it's against Philly, in Philly, against Kenny Pickett. Just kidding. He'll be on the bench against Jalen Hurts.
Wouldn't that be wild?
I mean, if Jalen Hurts is hurt, I guess he would be playing, but I guess the Eagles.
That'd be the most poetic justice thing for Kenny to like him to get hurt. He play against us, and then he goes off for like 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. I'd be like, it could have been us.
Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, well, I guess we should have been a little more patient, but he also shouldn't have quit on us. I don't make that fair.
That's true. That's true. I'm gonna go with loss.
Yeah, Eagles got a lot of firepower. They got a lot of firepower. I'm gonna go loss, but also I want to say this too, because I said you have to beat the good teams to be competitive, to show yourself in the playoffs. There are some of these teams back here. I'm gonna pick us a loss against these good teams, but to me they gotta be close. If you lose against the Eagles,
yeah,
and these other teams, they have to be close. That you can't be getting blown out. We've been getting blown out a lot in years past by these teams. I think Alex Kozora had some stat last year or 2 years ago when he got blown out in back-to-back weeks from Philly and Buffalo, where like in the past 5 years we've been blown out like man, I don't remember the exact numbers, so I don't want to say the stat wrong. But we've been blown out a certain amount of times in the past like 4 years or 5 years, and then in the prior 15 years we've been blown out the same amount of times. So we've been blown out more recently than we have like in an extremely long time. And you got to keep these games close. Regardless if you lose, these games have to be close, but I will pick a loss here.
Agreed. And then we go to Baltimore and we play them in another mid-afternoon game. This is where I will split the series with Baltimore. More of a respect thing than I think we'll lose, but I will say loss here.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, like we've been sweeping them recently. We haven't split a series with Baltimore in a long time. It's the same thing though. I've already said I was going to split it. I'm kind of setting us up for 3 losses here, but in a row, which really sucks going into a playoff atmosphere. So this could be different. You know, like if they win these games, you're looking even more excited for the playoffs. But I am going to say loss as well, just to split it. But that doesn't mean Chris and I think that we know the history. You don't. If you do listen and you actually want to interact with us, so you don't need to tell us that we are 7-1 in our last 8 games against Baltimore. I'm well aware.
Yes,
this is just
absolutely.
This is just like it's an easy to predict a 3-3 split, but that I mean, will it end up this way? No, we're talking about the schedule in May. Who knows what's going to happen?
And then we have another short week, 4 days in between, and we play on Christmas Day in Pittsburgh, but
Wednesday.
Against Taylor Swift and her team, the Chiefs. Now,
I knew you were in trouble
when you walked in. But you know what? Like Harrison Butker recently said, get back to the kitchen. No,
and that's exactly what I'll be doing, and not watching this game as we lose Christmas.
Exactly. No, I mean, again, like beating a dead horse. Got to play well against these teams. Got to win these games. I don't think we're going to. I think we're going to lose. Again, it's going to be 3 losses in a row, which stinks to end the season. But that's what I got. They're just a good team. They're Super Bowl champions.
This one specifically is the one to watch out for. Now, a lot of fans are saying like, oh, God, Merry Christmas. Yeah, I agree. This game's on Netflix too, by the way. So get your memberships ready. But it just I'm expecting them to lose too. It is not really going to affect my Christmas. I expect them to lose, but like we just said about playing teams close, Patrick Mahomes has historically throttled us. I think he's 4-0 against Pittsburgh with 14 touchdowns and 1 pick. He absolutely destroys us every time he plays us. Complete blowouts. If this game is a 3-point game, even though I'd be sad that they lost it, a close game on Christmas, I could at least relish that we didn't get blown out, and maybe we can beat them in the playoffs and with a second try. But I'll say loss right now, but hey, you never know what happens. Could get a Christmas miracle. You never know.
Absolutely. It's happened before. Could happen again.
Yep.
And then to end the season, the time is yet to be determined, but we are playing in Pittsburgh against our divisional rival, the Cincinnati Bengals. With it being in Pittsburgh, I already said I was going to split the series. We have to end with a dub here, especially if we have the record that I'm predicting us to have, which would be 11-6.
Miami too.
That's a playoff record. So you got to win this game.
That's fighting for division potential too. You're keeping up with the division. You have to win this game. You might be fighting for that. There's no resting for this to go to playoffs. Like Chris said, you got to win this game, especially going into playoffs, especially if you just lost 3 straight. You got to win so they have some motivation to go into it. And optimistically, this could be an 11-6 season. Could they win more? Sure. If they are firing all cylinders, by the end of the season here, even though we're picking them to lose these games, they should, if they want to be good, everything's on this big if. If they want to be good, if they want to be considered a competitive team, they need to have their offense figured out by this point. And they need to be able to figure out how to score points and be competitive. And maybe they have. Maybe that'll push them to win some of these games. Maybe it'll be opposite. Maybe they'll drop more at the beginning of the season that they shouldn't, and they'll beat all these hard teams at the end. Who's to say? But right now, this optimistic view is 11-6. Rather how they get there, I'm not sure. But that should put them in the playoffs at some point, and could be exciting. But yeah, tough schedule, Chris.
It really is. But I think we have the talent on the team to do it. I think, yes, we said optimistic view. I think it's also a very realistic view. Year in and year out, everyone pegs us as a first losing season in Tomlin's career. And you know what? This could very well be it, looking at the schedule that we have. But I just don't think we are a team that breaks. We might bend a lot, but we do not break. And I just don't see it happening again this season.
I agree.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to the year and see how this team meshes.
Yeah, and truer words have never been spoken as to say, here we go. Thank you for listening to the Northern Steel podcast. We'll be taking a short hiatus again, like we always do. There's nothing going on between now and training camp, but hey, if a big trade happens, we'll be here to talk about it. Otherwise, we'll see you in late July, a week before preseason. We'll talk about all the players we're excited about and kind of preview some preseason. We're going to try not to be mystified by that like we were last year. But regardless, thanks for listening to Northern Steel Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on Glassdoor, on The Onion, and on Yahoo Sports Weekly. Dad. Chris, anything you guys to say?
Go Steelers.
Go Steelers, indeed. Goodbye.